They put me in a residential school when I was 6 years old. Forced me from my family and all I'd ever known. I cried out for my mama, but she could not hear me. I was 200 miles away in Chupanacadie. They tried to break my spirit, I wouldn't let them see me cry. They held my head underwater until I almost died. I can still hear screaming deep inside of me, and I will always bear the scars of Chupanacadie.
Native person.
I think I'd like to speak from Mom's perspective first. It's not my story, it's hers. And it's the rest of the survivors. What I would like to tell them, and this is coming from my mom's perspective and her truth, that the story is true, and it's a reality of thousands of children who were incarcerated at the Indian residential school at no fault of their own. What the survivors dealt with at the school, what they were subjected to, they brought into their own family lives, into their homes. Once she left the school, like I said, she had her first child at 17. She married very young, lost her native rights. She went back to school. She educated herself. She wasn't letting everything that she lost stand in the way of her future. She never spoke about, everything. We would often hear her like crying through her sleep. I would hear her sobbing. And then, she started to share what happened at the school, the nightmares that resulted from this school. She took us to the school and we went through the building. She explained everything. I guess it was to educate us, to bring awareness as to why she was the way she was. 1986, she started collecting names of former students of the Chupanacadie Indian Residential School. Mom started the organization after collecting, and then the organization formed in 1995, September 22nd, 1995. And at that time, she had 900 plus survivors. 2007, there was a little over 600, and today there's a little over 5. I worked alongside of Mom for many, many years with the survivors. We would travel to these meetings, and it was down in Eskasoni. There was some descendants in there also that were sharing. And my mom was looking at them, and that's when she apologized. And it was like, wow, because she was in denial for so many years about the abuse from, extended families to her children. And we were very angry with her for a lot of years because we didn't understand. All the losses that they suffered, we too have suffered those losses. The mental, physical, emotional, and sexual abuse, we too as descendants. Not all, but some of us have suffered that at the hands of our parents, or uncles or aunts. I wish things like that didn't happen, but they did, and they made me the person I am today. She wrote a poem, and it's called A Person's Journey. And in that poem, and that's what she says, it's okay to linger for a while, but to move forward. Learn about the residential school, learn about what they went through. Try to have some kind of understanding and compassion of what they lost, so we can also take a stand against the injustice for our people, and hopefully this never ever happens again. The government needs to realize, though, that with the apology, June 11th, the apology was beautiful, but we need action. We need action with those words, the survivors, the descendants, and our children to come. because it doesn't just stop with my generation. It continues on. I have children, I have grandchildren, you know, and I'm sure the dysfunction has hit them also. We need to deal with that.
When the Indian Residential School Settlement Agreement was signed in September 2007, APC went out and informed survivors about the settlement agreement itself. The 5 components of the settlement agreement are the common experience payment, the independent assessment process, Truth and Reconciliation Canada, healing, health, and commemoration. Most of the people have already gotten their common experience payment. There is an adjudication secretariat that was developed from Indian Northern Affairs, but it's an independent body. And it's looking at the independent assessment process. And that's compensation to the survivors for extreme physical, sexual, and emotional abuse. The adjudication process is one where the survivor puts in an application, states what abuses they suffered while they were in Indian residential school and the impacts of those abuses. And they go to an alternative dispute resolution hearing. There's also the healing component, which was the Aboriginal Healing Foundation, and the health component, which was the Resolution Health Support Program. They have the RHSWs, which are the Resolution Health Support Workers, and cultural support persons that assist survivors with this whole settlement agreement. As they go through their CEP claims, their independent assessment claims, go through the TRC, they're with them at every step. They're with them before things happen, during it, and afterwards.
Most times the survivors ask for us to be there to pray with them before they give their IAP, before they give their story. So what I do as an elder, I go there and I pray and I smudge them down. And then I leave as they give their story. And then they call me when they're finished. And then I go over there again and I pray with them. And then I brush them down with my eagle fan. You know, brush away all the negativity that has gone through. And they tell me that when they finish, they tell me that you have helped me so much, you know, going through this, because it's hard for them.
Being the Resolution Health Support Worker is, you knowing the stories, knowing the process. And I just wish I could just help them and help them more. And then when we get into the story, when the lawyer talks about it and asks them questions, and you can see, boy, you can see the pain come out. Some of them are ready, some of them are not. They want to do it, they're scared to do it. And then after that, when they go through the process, the IAP hearing and that, you can see their face, that lifting from their face, you can see that happening to them, that they did it.
The Truth and Reconciliation Commission is a body that's been mandated to find out what was the truth. And that commission was started to go out to the communities, go out and speak to survivors to find out what the truth, what the experience was from these Indian residential schools. What happened there? What were the impacts from it? How can we heal from this experience, or even start the basis of reconciliation between the general public of Canada and Indian residential school survivors and their descendants? What we hope to accomplish is to acknowledge what has happened. What was Indian residential school? What was the pain and the suffering that happened there? And we want to also acknowledge, as Mi'kmaq, Maliseet, and Passamaquoddy people, that we've survived this. We've had a lot of pain and suffering and damages done to our communities, and they tried to take our languages, they tried to take our culture, they tried to harm our families. But ultimately, we're here and we're rebuilding, and we want to celebrate our culture and who we are. and stand with pride and dignity.
They put me in a residential school when I was 6 years old. Forced me from my family and all I'd ever known. I cried out for my mama, but she could not hear me. I was 200 miles away in Supernacadie.